In the last episode, Gary Osborne talked about an ancient model of consciousness that acknowledged a fact that modern science is only just returning to. The two polarities of consciousness that seem to arise from the two hemispheres of the brain, and, more interesting still, a third state of consciousness that is a kind of synergy of the two. This third force, as Gary refers to it, is an emergent property of consciousness that is depicted in alchemical esoteric illustrations such as this. In this way, esoteric art of all ages acts as a sort of magic mirror, showing us aspects of our psycho-spiritual machinery without which it would be impossible to understand, impossible to visualize, impossible to fully explore and develop. Art that is used in this timeless way acts as a midwife between psyche and psychonaut. This unusual branch of consciousness research began for Osborne with a series of successful experiments with the hypnagogic state. But far from being the totality of the mystery, it was in fact simply a door through which one can access the further ranges and frontiers of consciousness. In this episode, Gary discusses an even deeper, even more central secret of esoteric symbolism that is also addressed by this unification of opposites schematic.
It's like these different cultures recognize this state of consciousness, and that's how they symbolized it. But really what it's pointing to with these two staffs or serpents, the Ida and Pingala serpents of the Hindu depiction of the Kundalini processes in the body, is the spine, it's the spinal column, and that is like a gateway. It's because the experience centers on the spinal column with the energy. And so that's like the gateway in the center of the body. That's what they're pointing to with its symbolism.
For those with even a rudimentary knowledge of Vedic or Tantric traditions, there's very little question about what these symbols mean. But for some reason, this is another one of those topics that Orthodox Egyptology will simply not acknowledge.
I got into a debate with an Egyptologist about Kundalini in ancient Egyptian symbolism, which he said there was none. There was no reference to Kundalini at all. As if there was no connection between the cultures, the Hindu culture and the ancient Egyptian culture. But you could clearly see there is in the symbolism, the ancient Egyptian symbolism, the serpent symbolism with the Uraeus serpent projecting from the brow, the forehead, the third eye. It's the same as what you see in Hindu symbolism, iconography.
So this is one of those places where the findings of our aesthetic research group begin to diverge from Orthodox Egyptology. The aesthetic of the culture itself is once again demonstrating that these traditions, these schematics, were held to be of central importance for ancient Egypt as they were in the Vedic, Hindu, and ancient Eastern Taoist and Buddhist cultures. These timeless symbols seem to be acting as schematics or wiring diagrams, describing in this case what might be called our psychosexual circuitry, a concept that sounds insane for the most part in the West, but is fairly common knowledge in Hindu, Taoist, and Buddhist cultures. This circuitry is the object of attention in the yogic traditions as well. The focus on the third eye was apparently one that was shared by ancient Egypt and a number of other cultures.